Tonight we drift into a world where the moon no longer moves. There is no sound, no wind, no tide pulling against the shores. The oceans lie still as mirrors, reflecting a motionless silver disk hanging above the horizon, the moon frozen forever in place. Once it danced across the sky, slow but certain, rising, falling, whispering to the seas. But tonight, it has stopped, and the earth, our restless home, is holding its breath. You can almost hear it, a still heartbeat beneath the soil, the silence of a world that has forgotten time. Long ago, the moon was more than light. It was rhythm. It told the oceans when to breathe, the corals when to bloom, and even guided the drifting journeys of whales beneath the dark waters. Every night for billions of years, its gravity tugged at the Earth's heart, steady, patient, eternal, and in return the Earth turned faithfully beneath it, day after day, century after century. Together they were dancers in a slow cosmic waltz, partners born from chaos, orbiting in quiet devotion. But nothing in the universe moves forever. Tonight, imagine standing at the edge of a sleeping ocean. No wind brushes your face. No waves touch your feet. The air itself feels suspended, as if sound and motion have forgotten how to exist. Above you, the moon, bright, silver, and impossibly still, stares down like an unblinking eye. Its light does not shift or fade. It is trapped in a single eternal moment. And somewhere deep within you, a strange calm takes root, part fear, part wonder. The moon has always been our mirror. Through it, we saw ourselves reflected, our hopes, our myths, our stories of love and loss. It watched over the first fires lit by human hands, the first oceans crossed by fragile ships, the first dreamers who looked up and wondered if they were alone. It was always there, a symbol of continuity. But what happens when that mirror stops reflecting? When time itself forgets to move forward? Scientists once said the moon is drifting away little by little, 3.8 centimeters each year, barely noticeable. Yet even that slow motion has been enough to shape our world. The tides, the length of our days, even the stability of our planet's tilt. Motion was life, distance was destiny, and then one night the moon stopped. It didn't crash, didn't shatter, didn't fade. It simply paused, as though the universe itself blinked, and the clock that had been ticking since creation missed a single beat and never started again. From space, Earth now looks half lit, half sleeping. One side locked forever under sunlight, deserts boiling, oceans shimmering gold. The other drowned in night, wrapped in endless cold, cities glowing faintly like embers that refuse to die. Between them, a twilight border where day and night meet but never trade places. And there, under the still gaze of the moon, humanity watches. Somewhere a child asks their mother, "Why doesn't it move anymore?" And the mother, staring up with hollow eyes, whispers, "Because time fell asleep." Yet there is beauty in this stillness. A strange cosmic calm. The end of motion feels less like death and more like a deep exhale, as if the universe, after endless expansion and noise, finally decided to rest. The stars shimmer with an extra softness tonight. The air hums with quiet electricity, a reminder that even in stillness, something vast continues to dream. If you listen closely, beneath the silence of the oceans and the frozen winds, you can almost hear the echo of the moon's last whisper, "I have seen enough. Let me rest." As the world begins to accept the stillness, human hearts slow too. The endless hurry of clocks, alarms, and cities loses its meaning. There is nowhere to rush to, nothing left to chase. People begin to sleep longer, dream deeper, speak softer. The noise of civilization fades into a collective hush. And in that hush, a strange peace is born. Maybe, for the first time in history, the world feels aligned, perfectly still, perfectly silent, perfectly calm. A cosmic bedtime. The moon's light now feels heavier, more intimate. It doesn't move across the night sky anymore, but it fills every shadow, every wave, every cloud that dares to drift by. It is no longer a traveler, it is a watcher. Its frozen reflection ripples through the deep oceans, touches the mountains, and paints silver dust across the forests that sleep beneath its gaze. It feels like the end of something ancient, but also the beginning of something eternal. As you listen to this silence, you can sense the heartbeat of the earth slowing to match your own. Every breath you take syncs with the rhythm of this motionless world. Every second stretches a little longer, a little softer. until even your thoughts begin to drift, slow, fluid, weightless, like the last tide that ever reached the shore. The story of the moon has always been our story too, how we orbit what we love, how we move in cycles of light and shadow, how every ending is just another kind of sleep. And now, as the final midnight rises, the world turns inward, not ending, not breaking but dreaming. This is Earth's final night, yet it is also its first moment of eternal peace. The moon no longer moves, the oceans no longer breathe. But somewhere deep within that stillness, life continues, quietly, slowly, beautifully. So as you close your eyes tonight, let this still world hold you. Let its calm weight press gently upon your mind. And remember, even when the moon stops moving, the universe is still dreaming, and so are you. In the beginning, there was only fire, not the gentle warmth of a hearth, but a roaring cosmic blaze that swallowed everything it touched. Earth was young then, a molten sphere adrift in a sea of dust and flame, glowing like an ember in the dark cradle of space. Rivers of lava flowed across its newborn skin, and the air itself shimmered with heat. The stars above were silent witnesses, distant and patient, watching a world still finding its shape. In this chaos, gravity worked quietly, sculpting the roughness, pulling the scattered fragments of creation into order. But creation is never gentle. It is born in violence, and from that violence something beautiful was waiting to emerge. Scientists call it the giant impact, a name so simple, so clinical, for something so cataclysmic. A wandering protoplanet, Theia, once shared our orbit around the Sun. It was about the size of Mars, silent and unseen, moving closer each passing eon. One day their paths crossed. Theia and the young Earth collided in a moment of unimaginable force, an impact so great it melted worlds and redrew the shape of both. For an instant, the universe held its breath. From that collision, mountains of molten rock and metal were flung into orbit, debris glowing red, swirling, fusing together in a slow, graceful dance. The Earth, though wounded, continued to turn, and around it a new companion began to form. Piece by piece the fragments gathered, pulled by gravity's invisible hand, until a sphere was born from the wreckage. That sphere became the moon. It was not a gentle birth. It was forged in the fires of destruction, born from chaos yet destined to bring balance. The newborn Earth and moon circled each other like two flames, learning how to burn without consuming one another. Their movements carved rhythm into the void. Day and night began to find meaning, tides found their pull, and life, still far in the future, would one day be shaped by this cosmic partnership. Imagine it. The Earth glowing with magma seas, clouds of vapor rising, and above a moon far larger in the sky than we see today, bright, raw, and close enough to fill the horizon. It must have been both terrifying and magnificent, like a scar made of light. Every turn of the Earth was slower then, every tide stronger. The two bodies shared their energy, trading motion like a heartbeat. The moon's pull steadied Earth's spin, and in return Earth's rotation lifted the moon higher, farther away. They were learning balance, two ancient dancers finding their steps in the silence of the cosmos. From the outside, to a traveler passing by that distant corner of the solar system, it might have looked like a tender embrace frozen in motion, one glowing world holding another in orbit, locked in eternal companionship. But beneath the poetry there was physics, gravity shaping destiny. The moon would become Earth's timekeeper, its invisible metronome. Every tide, every season, every eclipse would echo the memory of that first collision. It is strange to think that something so destructive could create the stability we now depend on. That from a cosmic wound came the rhythm of the oceans, the tilt of our days, and the balance that allowed life to one day emerge. From chaos, two worlds were born, bound by gravity, bonded by silence. Even after billions of years, that bond endures. Every night when we look at the moon, we are looking at a fragment of our own body, a piece of Earth that was once fire, once dust, now light. It drifts around us, patient and unchanging, whispering of the day we both came alive. The tides that rise and fall carry that ancient memory, and the slow dance continues still, the moon inching away, the Earth spinning slower, yet the bond between them never breaking. And so the story of the moon is also the story of us, two halves of one beginning, forever entwined in motion. Since then, they've never been apart. The Earth breathes, though not with lungs or air. It breathes through the tides. Every moment across every shore, the oceans rise and fall in a rhythm older than life itself. This is the pulse of the moon, the silent hand that lifts and releases the seas, shaping the heartbeat of our planet. When the moon pulls, the waters reach upward, drawn toward her gentle gravity. When she drifts away, the oceans sigh and retreat, leaving behind shimmering trails of foam and salt. It is a motion so vast, so constant, that we rarely stop to think that every wave that touches the sand began as a whisper from the sky. The moon, hanging far above, calls to the earth with invisible strings, a soft tug that moves entire oceans as easily as it once lifted dust into orbit. It is a dance of gravity and grace, a partnership written into the bones of the world. Each wave a whisper from the moon. If you stand on the shore and listen long enough, the ocean speaks in patterns. The rush of waves, the gentle hiss as they fade. It is a lullaby that never ends. Long before humans could measure time, before calendars or clocks, the moon was already keeping count. Her orbit marked the rhythm of days and nights, of tides and seasons. The first calendars were not carved in stone, but written in water, in the turning of tides, in the way certain fish would spawn only under the full moon, or how coral reefs would release their luminous eggs on the same night each year. The moon teaches time, not through words but through repetition, through the steady breath of the sea. Billions of years ago, when life first began to stir, it was the tides that shaped the boundaries between land and ocean. Pools left behind by retreating waters became tiny laboratories of creation. In their shifting salt and minerals, early cells learned to adapt, to breathe, to become something more. Every ebb and flow was a new experiment, a gentle lesson written by gravity. Without tides, perhaps life would never have found its rhythm. And as life evolved, the moon's guidance remained constant. Migrating animals began to follow her patterns. Sea turtles, born beneath the light of one moon, would cross entire oceans, only to return decades later under the same silver glow. Crabs climbed the sand when the tides rose highest, and coral blooms painted the night sea with colors timed perfectly to the lunar cycle. Even the smallest plankton drift upward at night and sink during the day, following the moon's pull as though hearing a song the rest of the world has forgotten. In the stillness of the deep, this pull can be felt like a heartbeat. Water itself moves to her command. Even the continents respond in subtle ways, their crust flexing ever so slightly as gravity weaves through rock and sea alike. The entire planet sways to her rhythm, like a cradle rocked by an unseen hand. And above it all, the moon drifts silently, patient, steady, eternal. To the ancients, this motion was divine. They saw the moon as a goddess who ruled the waters and the night. Sailors prayed to her for calm seas, and farmers watched her cycles to guide their harvests. Long before the language of science, humanity understood her power through instinct and observation. They could see that her face changed, but her pattern remained faithful. The same promise month after month, like breath in the dark. As civilizations rose, they built their calendars around her, their myths upon her, their sense of time and wonder beneath her glow. Even today, though we have measured every phase and mapped her orbit with precision, her influence still feels deeply human. We watch her rise and feel something ancient stir within us, as if remembering that our ancestors once navigated their entire existence by her light. The sound of the tides has always been part of Earth's lullaby. The moon hums it softly across the world's edges, from the icy poles to tropical shores. It is the same sound that lulled ancient creatures to rest and still carries travelers into sleep when waves break gently against the coast. Scientists may call it tidal resonance, but to the heart it is comfort, the sound of the planet remembering to breathe. When we close our eyes and listen to waves, we are not just hearing water, we are hearing time itself. The pull and release, the rise and fall, each motion is a memory of that first gravitational embrace between Earth and Moon. Every whisper of the tide is a reminder that we are still connected to the cosmic dance that began billions of years ago. The moon, though distant, has never stopped touching us. Even the air feels her rhythm. Winds shift with temperature changes brought by tides. Clouds drift differently under her influence. She is woven into weather, into ocean currents, into the length of our days. Her absence would silence more than the sea. It would still the heartbeat of the planet. Imagine for a moment standing on a beach at night. The sand is cool, the air heavy with salt, and above the moon glows pale and patient. You feel the tide brushing at your feet, withdrawing, returning, whispering secrets you can't quite understand. You realize that this motion has never stopped, not once in 4 billion years. It was here before cities, before mountains, before the first breath of life. It will be here long after we are gone, and yet it feels personal, as if the moon is speaking directly to you. This is her lesson. That movement can be peace, that change can be gentle, that the world can shift and still remain whole. The moon teaches time, but she also teaches patience, the kind that unfolds slowly, wave after wave. We measure our lives in minutes, but the moon measures in eternities. She sees the tides rise and fall, not as beginnings or endings, but as continuations, one breath leading into the next. If you listen closely enough, you might hear it too, the faint hum of the earth as it breathes in harmony with the moon. That sound, the steady inhale of the tide, the quiet exhale of the retreat, is the planet dreaming. It is the echo of their bond, the proof that the dance goes on. And as you drift towards sleep, the same rhythm moves within you, for your body too is made of oceans. The salt in your veins, the water in your cells, all of it once belonged to the sea. You are, in a quiet way, part of that same gravitational embrace. The moon moves the oceans, but she moves you too. Not with force, but with memory. The ancient memory of where you began. So let the waves rise and fall in your mind. Let the sound of their motion carry you deeper into calm. The moon still watches, still teaches, still keeps time. And as she does, the earth continues to breathe. Slow, steady, eternal. The night sky has always looked eternal, calm, unchanged, familiar. But even in stillness, motion hides. The moon, that gentle silver companion, has been drifting away from Earth slowly, silently, about 3.8 centimeters every year, the width of a thumb, the distance between breaths. Almost nothing to human eyes, yet everything to the rhythm of the cosmos. Billions of years ago, the Earth and moon spun closer, locked in a faster dance. Tides were higher, days shorter, and the ocean roared with youthful energy. But time softened that motion. Gravity, like an invisible tide of its own, began to stretch their bond apart. Now the moon drifts, gently escaping, yet still tethered like a dream slipping from memory. Each night, when the moon rises over sleeping cities, it's a little farther than the night before. A farewell so small even eternity needs patience to see it. The oceans feel this distance, their waves slowing, their reach fading. Every night, the narrator whispers softly, it says goodbye, just a little farther. This drift is not destruction. It's the quiet story of balance, the universe seeking peace. As the moon moves away, Earth's rotation slows, days grow longer by fractions of a second. The planet's heartbeat amidst spin and relaxes. A cosmic sigh. Scientists can trace this motion like rings of a tree. In ancient coral fossils, in the slow ticking of atomic clocks, they see proof. The days once lasted 18 hours. Now they stretch beyond 24, and in the far future, when the moon drifts far enough, the dance will end, the tides will weaken, the night will deepen, and the earth will stand still beneath a motionless moon, its eternal partner finally out of reach. But for now, their bond remains. A delicate, invisible bridge of gravity holding them together. A promise written not in words, but in motion. Perhaps, the narrator breathes, this is what love looks like to the cosmos. Two worlds drifting apart, yet forever bound by memory. The heartbeat of Earth slows again. The sky glows faintly with the soft silver of distance. The great drift continues, unhurried, unseen, eternal. The night begins like any other. The air still carries the quiet pulse of oceans and wind. The stars blink softly in their eternal rhythm. But tonight, something changes. The moon rises calm and full. Yet as hours pass, it does not move. It simply hangs there, silent and unmoving, a silver eye frozen in the heavens. At first, the stillness feels peaceful. No moonset, no dawn, just a single, perfect glow suspended above the horizon. But slowly, a strange truth unfolds. The moon has stopped. Its drift, its orbit, its eternal dance with Earth, all motion has ended. And with that stillness, everything begins to change. On one half of the world, the moon hangs forever in the sky, casting a gentle, cold light that never fades. Nights stretch endlessly, painted in silver calm. Shadows never move. The oceans glimmer like liquid glass. It feels timeless, beautiful yet haunting. But on the other half of the world, there is no moon, no night, only unbroken daylight that never dims. The sun reigns forever overhead, bleaching the sky white. The air grows dry and sleep becomes a memory. "Half the world never sees night again," the narrator whispers softly. The other never sees day. The balance that once guided every tide, every cycle of life, is gone. Oceans no longer breathe in and out. The tide stands still, trapped between rise and fall. Along the silent shores, water waits, motionless as crystal. The heartbeat of the planet falters. Birds lose their sense of direction. Coral reefs cease their synchronized dance. The whisper of waves that once echoed through the night vanishes into silence. Even the wind hesitates, unsure which way to move. It is as if the sky itself has forgotten to breathe. Under the eternal moonlight, cities glow softly in silver tones. People step outside, realizing they live beneath a sky that will never change again. Time feels slower. Clocks lose meaning. Sleep drifts differently here, unanchored, endless. On the sunlit side, the world glows golden and still. Forests struggle beneath the weight of constant day. Flowers do not close. Shadows stretch but never move. Some creatures adapt, burrowing deep to escape the endless light, while others fade, unable to rest. The narrator's voice softens further, as if floating through the still air. The moon's pause is not anger nor mercy. It is simply silence, the universe holding its breath. Astronomers stare at the sky in disbelief. Equations fail. The laws of motion, of balance, of gravity, rewritten overnight. And yet amid the quiet panic, a strange serenity takes hold. The world does not end in chaos. It simply slows. Children born under the frozen moon will never know what it means to watch it rise or set. They will think of it as a permanent star, the eye of night forever open. And somewhere across the horizon, others will grow up never knowing darkness, never seeing stars. Earth becomes a world divided, light and shadow locked in eternal embrace. But beneath the surface, deep within the oceans that no longer move, the planet still whispers. The molten heart of Earth still turns, faintly pulsing. Volcanoes sleep uneasily. Deep currents murmur of memory, of movement, of time, of what once was. The narrator's voice lowers to a tender whisper. Perhaps the universe has paused just for a moment, to remember what it feels like to rest. The sky remains frozen, silent and vast. The stars do not blink. The moon does not move. The earth holds its breath, and for the first time in all of creation, night and day become eternal. The world has grown quiet. Too quiet. What began as the moon's stillness is now spreading, an invisible calm seeping into the rhythm of the earth itself. The tides no longer breathe. The winds no longer chase shadows, and slowly, almost imperceptibly, the earth's rotation begins to slow. At first, the narrator says gently, it was only a second longer. Then a minute. Then an hour. Days stretch wider. The sun lingers in the sky longer than it should, refusing to fall beyond the horizon. Somewhere far away, night hesitates, unwilling to begin. The heartbeat of the planet stumbles, steadying itself into something slower, heavier, timeless. A day becomes a month becomes a year, and time itself begins to lose meaning. People try to hold on to what they know, to hours, to calendars, to the sound of ticking clocks. But soon those sounds feel absurd, out of place. Clocks spin endlessly, marking nothing real. Time no longer moves forward. It simply pools around them, thick and soft like fog. Sleep patterns dissolve. The world no longer agrees on when to rest or wake. For some, night never ends, a long silver dream where moonlight freezes every thought. For others, day never fades, an endless noon that burns memory into air. And yet, amid the quiet apocalypse, humanity adapts in strange, delicate ways. On the dark side, communities live in dim light, growing crops under glowing orbs, building cities that never see sunrise. Music slows, voices whisper, movement becomes ritual. They call their endless night the dreaming time. On the bright side, people construct deep shelters and mirrored domes, retreating from the eternal glare. The sky remains golden, but everything below becomes pale and tired. Even shadows seem weary. The narrator's tone lowers to a tender murmur. In the stillness, time dissolves. And what remains is simply existence. The oceans, though unmoving, shimmer like vast mirrors. Mountains no longer cast new shadows. The air itself feels heavy, as if the world is caught between breathing in and never exhaling. Scientists call it tidal locking, a term too mechanical for something so deeply human. The moon has bound Earth in its quiet embrace, face to face forever. There is no more rising or setting, no more rhythm to chase, only two halves, one dreaming, one awake, and somewhere between the edges of those two worlds twilight lives eternal. A strip of soft dusk that circles the planet, neither day nor night. Here life still moves gently. The air is cool, the light soft, and the people whisper like pilgrims walking between realities. They mark their time not by clocks, but by feelings. The way shadows lean, the way air changes scent, the rhythm of their own hearts. In this world, the word tomorrow loses meaning. The stars above are no longer guides. They are frozen reminders of a universe still moving, while Earth stands still. But there is peace in the stillness. A strange, fragile peace. The narrator's voice becomes slower now, each word stretched like breath. When motion ends, when time sleeps, only presence remains. Dreams change too. With no sunrise to end them, they grow deeper, merging with waking thought. People begin to dream even while awake, their minds drifting between memory and imagination. Some believe they hear the planet whisper, a low hum, the echo of its spinning past. Others find comfort in the unchanging sky, as if eternity itself has wrapped them in a calm embrace. It is neither death nor life as it once was. It is something quieter, a moment stretched forever. Midnight becomes eternal, the narrator says softly, as if to a listener already drifting into sleep. And in that eternal midnight, the world learns what silence truly means. The camera drifts slowly over the unmoving horizon, half bathed in sun, half cloaked in night. Oceans gleam like glass. The stars do not twinkle. And the moon, their ancient companion, remains perfectly still, watching, remembering, dreaming. Time has stopped moving, and yet in the endless calm, the earth still dreams. The sea has stopped breathing. Once it rose and fell like the lungs of the planet, each tide a heartbeat, each wave a whisper from the moon. Now the surface lies still, as if frozen beneath an invisible spell. No tides, no currents, no restless motion to carry warmth or life. It is a calm so complete that it feels unnatural, beautiful, yet heavy with sorrow. The moon no longer calls, the narrator murmurs, voice slow and distant, and so the oceans no longer answer. Without the moon's pull, the great currents falter. The Gulf Stream, that endless river of warmth, begins to fade. Polar waters stagnate. The equator burns with stillness. The world's balance collapses, not with a roar, but with a sigh. The coral kingdoms, once bright as galaxies beneath the sea, dim to ash. Coral kingdoms collapse in silence, the narrator whispers. Without moving tides, oxygen dwindles. Fish drift rather than swim. The deep begins to feel like sleep, heavy, unending, soundless. In this stillness, the oceans mirror the sky, vast, reflective, and lifeless. The sun strikes the same waters again and again, day after day, boiling some, freezing others. There is no circulation left to carry the warmth, no waves to mix the layers. Above the frozen horizon, clouds no longer travel. Rain falls where it stands and evaporates where it lands. Rivers become ghosts of motion, lost between memory and mist. The world sleeps too deeply to wake, the voice continues, now almost like a lullaby. Beneath the unmoving surface, strange new shapes take form. Jellyfish drift endlessly, unaware of distance. The few surviving creatures glow faintly, their light rippling like dreams beneath a dead calm. Hydrothermal vents, the last engines of warmth, become sanctuaries of motion. Here deep beneath the crushing stillness, small colonies of life persist. Blind crabs, white worms, and strange luminous bacteria huddle around the heat, whispering the last stories of the sea. But even here, the silence grows heavier. As the planet's spin slows further, gravity reshapes the water itself. The oceans begin to migrate, slowly pooling toward the eternal night side, pulled by the planet's shifting equilibrium. What was once coastline becomes desert. What was once desert drowns beneath endless shadowed seas. The narrator's tone softens, inviting the listener deeper into stillness. Imagine standing on a shore that has not moved in 1,000 years. No waves, no wind, only reflection, endless, perfect, and absolute. Humanity watches from the fragments of surviving civilization. Coastal cities, once alive with light, stand half buried in salt. Ships lie rusting, trapped in waters that never rise or fall. Ports that once welcomed tides now rot in their own still puddles. The air grows thick, humid and unmoving. The sound of the ocean becomes a memory. The world's oldest lullaby has gone quiet. Without tides, the narrator whispers, the earth forgets how to breathe. Even the creatures of the deep, those who thrived in darkness, begin to fade. Without circulation, their world turns to stagnant shadow. No new nutrients rise from below. No old warmth drifts down from above. But amid the loss there remains a strange beauty, the kind that comes from perfect stillness. The sea's surface becomes a mirror of eternity, reflecting the frozen moon above. The line between water and sky disappears. It is as if the planet has folded itself into a single endless dream. Soft music swells beneath the voice, low and trembling, like distant waves that no longer move. The narrator continues, almost whispering into sleep. Once, the ocean sang to the moon, and the moon answered with tides. Now both rest in silence, two dreamers forever lost in the same sleep. As the story drifts toward its quiet end, the camera descends beneath the glassy surface, through still water, past fading coral, down to the deep black floor where no current stirs. There, amid the eternal calm, a single bubble rises, slow, fragile, glistening, before vanishing into the stillness above. It is the last breath of a dreaming world. And then nothing moves, only the soft voice remains. The world sleeps too deeply to wake. The earth no longer turns as it once did. The moon, that quiet guardian in the skies, has stopped pulling, stopped guiding, stopped balancing the invisible dance that kept the seasons in rhythm. Without its gentle hand, the planet begins to drift out of tune. The axis, once steady, once loyal, begins to tremble. It sways slightly at first, then more. The rhythm of the seasons unravels. The narrator's voice is soft, measured, like a slow breath in the dark. Winter stretches endlessly. Spring forgets its cue. Snow covers lands that were once green. The equator burns while the poles drown in white silence. No wind comes to carry the warmth. No tilt brings change. The calendar becomes meaningless. Summer never knows when to return. The earth falls into seasons of silence. Forests stand motionless beneath pale skies. Trees do not shed their leaves. They simply stop growing, trapped between cycles that no longer know how to begin. Rivers freeze in one place and flood in another. The great migration patterns of animals vanish, replaced by stillness. Humanity watches the world grow confused. Cities adapt, or try to. Artificial suns rise above skylines, floating like golden orbs. They burn to simulate dawn, not for light but for memory. People live beneath them, chasing warmth that no longer follows any rhythm. The stars, the narrator murmurs, become our only clock. Each night, or what was once night, people look upward to find direction in constellations. They try to read the heavens like an old map, but even the stars seem quieter now, dimmed by the still air. Time begins to lose meaning. The human body, once tuned to day and night, struggles to remember sleep and wake. People drift in long cycles of drowsiness, neither fully awake nor truly dreaming, their hearts slow to match the planet's fading pulse. Still, there are moments of strange beauty. The endless winter brings crystalline silence, frost like lace across ruined buildings, reflections frozen in ponds that never thaw. In the places where light still falls, deserts shimmer under perpetual dusk, golden and haunting. The narrator describes it like a dream half remembered. The world turns, but only in memory. The old rhythm of the earth, the heartbeat of spring and summer, of autumn and winter, is gone. In its place, a single endless note. As the story drifts deeper, we see humanity retreat into sanctuaries, vast underground cities built to preserve warmth and light. Artificial moons orbit within glass domes, casting gentle glow over sleeping streets. Children grow up beneath false skies, learning of seasons only through stories. Once, the narrator whispers, the earth danced between warmth and cold, a balance so delicate we never truly saw it. Now in the silence we understand what was lost. Outside, the frozen oceans glitter like mirrors. The air is thin, filled with drifting ice crystals that catch the artificial light and scatter it into soft halos. There are no storms now, only the whisper of air shifting across an unmoving world. In the eternal dusk, the stars appear closer, sharper. The constellations no longer move, and so they become the new guardians of time. Humanity measures its life not by days, but by how the stars appear against the still moon. Some believe the moon is watching, mourning the planet it once guided. Others say it too is asleep, trapped in a timeless dream with the earth. Perhaps, the voice suggests softly, this is what peace truly is. The world resting after eons of motion, the visual slow to near stillness, the pale curve of the horizon, the moon hanging motionless above and below, the frozen forests and endless shadows of a world that has forgotten how to change. As the chapter nears its end, the voice grows fainter, slower, like a heartbeat fading into calm. Once the seasons marked our lives. They told us when to plant, when to rest, when to hope. But now time itself has fallen asleep. And in this long dream, this season of silence, the earth breathes one last quiet sigh. Soft ambient tones swell, like wind through distant stars. As the scene fades to darkness, the world has gone quiet. Above it the moon hangs still, a pale guardian frozen in the heavens, gazing endlessly upon what remains of its companion. Generations have passed since it last moved. The great calendars have turned to dust, and yet the silver light remains unchanged. What once rose and set is now eternal, a cold lamp suspended over a dreaming world. Beneath this motionless moon, humanity endures. Cities now glow under its unending twilight, domes of faint gold and silver stretching across frozen plains and glass deserts. Streets shimmer softly, not with the pulse of neon or the rush of traffic, but with quiet footsteps and low voices. The world has grown slower, gentler. Inside these cities, people live by stories rather than clocks. The concept of time has melted away, replaced by cycles of memory. At the edge of every settlement stands the lunar wall, a smooth, mirror-like barrier where light from the still moon reflects endlessly. Families gather there at the start of each quiet cycle. They sit wrapped in blankets, listening to storytellers speak of the moving sky, a time when shadows shifted, tides breathed and the moon danced. Children ask, the narrator murmurs, voice almost fading into the night. Did it really dance once? The elders smile softly. Some close their eyes, remembering the slow rise of the moon over oceans that once moved, the silver path that stretched across waves. Others simply nod. They've never seen it move, but they've dreamed it, dreams after all. Hear how humanity remembers motion. There are dream keepers now, people who carry the task of retelling old stories, not just to preserve history, but to keep imagination alive. Every story begins the same way. Once the moon was alive, they speak of tides that came and went like breathing, of nights that flowed into mornings, of a time when the sky changed color and sleep had meaning. Their words echo softly through the still air, lullabies for a world that forgot how to move. In the great halls, glowing softly beneath translucent domes, people paint constellations on ceilings, artificial stars that twinkle faintly, programmed to flicker, just so the next generation will know what movement once looked like. Children fall asleep watching them shimmer, believing they're real. The narrator's voice slows, filled with distant warmth. Though the world has stopped turning, stories still move. Outside, the eternal moonlight spills across silent oceans. The water no longer swells or retreats, but it reflects perfectly, like a memory too still to fade. Somewhere deep within, faint bioluminescent creatures still glow, their slow pulses marking the last rhythm of Earth's heartbeat. And humanity, fragile yet enduring, learns to adapt. In the endless twilight, crops are grown under gentle artificial lights, systems built to mimic sunrise. Music becomes soft and continuous, looping for comfort rather than entertainment. Sleep happens not in cycles, but when the heart feels tired. People have learned to measure time by emotion. A moment of joy lasts longer than a week. A dream can stretch across what used to be years. The moon watches, always watching. It offers no answers, no movement, no change. Yet in its silence there is comfort. It has become a symbol of patience, of endurance, of rest. And sometimes, when the quiet deepens and the city lights dim, people look up and whisper, "Do you remember us?" They do not expect a reply. The moon never speaks. It only shines, softly, endlessly, lovingly, over the sleeping world it once danced around. The narrator's tone lowers, voice almost blending with ambient sound. Perhaps the moon remembers everything. The waves, the laughter, the nights when it rose and fell like a breath. Perhaps in its stillness it dreams. As centuries pass, the stories continue. Humanity drifts deeper into stillness, but never fully loses the will to wonder. Even in this unmoving world, imagination is movement. and that somehow keeps them alive. Children grow beneath a frozen sky, but dream of oceans that breathe, of shadows that move, of stars that travel. And though they will never see such things, their dreams are enough to keep time alive in the mind, a quiet defiance against eternity. The chapter fades slowly, like moonlight across water. The voice, now a whisper, closes the moment. The still moon watches but never answers. And beneath its endless light, humanity dreams, quietly, eternally, beautifully and of motion. The still moon watches over a silent earth, and humanity, quiet beneath its glow, begins to remember the stories told long before telescopes and science. When imagination was the only way to understand the sky, ancient voices return, soft as wind through forgotten temples. Myths once whispered in firelight begin to sound strangely familiar, as if the old civilizations had seen this stillness before. The narrator's voice drifts, low and rhythmic. They spoke of the night the moon stopped, and gods fell asleep. In the ancient Mayan codices, the moon goddess Ixchel was said to control tides, fertility, and cycles of time. Some texts speak of her closing her eyes, a moment when the moon ceases to move, and all of creation falls into stillness. To the Maya, it was not the end, but renewal. Time didn't stop. It simply began again, slower, deeper, wiser. Far to the north, the Norse spoke of Mani, the spirit of the moon chased through the heavens by a great wolf. On the day of Ragnarok, the wolf would finally catch him. The moon devoured its light frozen mid-sky. The world would sink into eternal twilight. But after, from silence, a new world would rise, cleansed, reborn. And in the east, the Hindu texts described Chandra, the god of the moon, whose cycle represented the rhythm of life and death. In one passage, it is said that when Chandra stops his motion, the universe holds its breath, and the dream of the gods becomes real. A sacred pause between breaths, not destruction, but divine rest. Each of these myths, born continents apart, carries the same quiet truth, that one day the heavens would stand still. And in that stillness, something deeper than chaos would come. Peace. The narrator's tone softens, the pace slow, meditative. Perhaps the ancients dreamed of this, not as doom, but as peace. The silence of the moon was not an ending. It was understanding. We return to the motionless earth, to the people who now live beneath this unchanging light. They've begun to rediscover those ancient stories, carving them into stone again, singing them in slow choral tones. Across continents, temples glow under the frozen moon, not with worship but with gratitude. In these stories, science and spirituality no longer argue. They merge. The scientists who once measured the moon's drift now speak in softer terms, of cosmic rhythm, of rest between cycles. Equations give way to poetry. Laboratories turn into sanctuaries. For in the great stillness, discovery has changed. It is no longer about progress, but presence. The voice continues almost like a lullaby. When the universe pauses, perhaps it listens to itself. And when the moon stops, perhaps it's the cosmos remembering what silence feels like. There are those who believe the ancients foresaw this, not through prophecy, but intuition. They sensed that motion itself was not eternal, that one day everything would come to rest. The tides, the stars even thought. And in that rest, existence would dream of itself, somewhere. Deep within one of the twilight cities, a storyteller stands beneath the still moon and begins to tell an old tale, a fusion of all myths, blended into one soft truth, that the moon was once the heart of time, and that when it stopped, time didn't die, it fell asleep. And humanity, once afraid of endings, finally learned the peace of stillness. The storyteller's voice echoes gently across the marble square. The gods have not vanished. They are simply dreaming beneath the same light that touches us now. In that moment, science, myth, and silence become one. The moon above, frozen in its eternal watch, becomes the oldest symbol of all, the circle. Infinite, complete, unmoving, yet eternal. The narrator's tone slows even more, now barely above a whisper. The ancients looked up and imagined gods. We look up and imagine gravity. But maybe, just maybe, we are both right. Because what we truly see is wonder. As the scene fades, the visuals soften. Temples carved with moon symbols. Cities bathed in twilight. The pale reflection of the frozen moon on still water. The earth, suspended in its long dream, seems to listen. And somewhere in the quiet between myth and science, humanity finds peace. The final lines arrive like a breath at the edge of sleep. The old legends were not warnings. They were lullabies. They told us that one day the moon would rest, and when it did, the world would dream along with it. The world has fallen quiet. No tides, no ticking clocks, no rhythm of rising and setting light. Yet somehow beneath the frozen sky, the earth still breathes, softly, slowly, as if it too has learned to sleep. The narrator's voice is gentle now, lower, slower, each word spaced like a heartbeat. Even without the moon's motion, Earth still dreams. The camera drifts through a still ocean smooth as glass. Each reflection glows silver, the unmoving moon resting perfectly above it, eternal. We glide across continents where twilight never changes. Forests shimmer with faint bioluminescence. Cities hum with quiet life, calm, unhurried. The world hasn't ended. It has simply slowed. Stillness, the voice says, is not death. It is rest. The scene fades into memories of waves, wind, tides, all the sounds the earth once made. Now they return as soft echoes, carried by memory rather than motion. Every life form, every molecule, every grain of dust carries the memory of movement. And in that memory the dream continues. There's no fear here, no loss. Only the deep, peaceful exhale of a planet that has found balance at last. Every ending, the voice whispers, is just a slower beginning. We see dreamlike visuals, clouds that never drift but glow like sleeping thoughts, mountains bathed in perpetual dusk, rivers of mist winding through silent valleys. Everything feels timeless, not empty but full of quiet understanding. Perhaps this is what the universe wanted all along, the narrator continues softly. To rest, to dream of itself, to remember what silence feels like. As the music deepens into a soft ambient hum, the imagery slows even further. The earth becomes distant now, seen from space, suspended in half light, half shadow, half glow, balanced perfectly between night and day. It looks peaceful, complete. The voice lowers again like a lullaby spoken from another world. We used to think motion was life, but maybe it's the pause between motions that gives meaning to both. A faint, rhythmic breathing sound begins, the sound of sleep itself. Inhale, exhale, each breath synchronized with the earth's imagined pulse. The moon, the voice says, has simply closed its eyes, and in doing so, it has taught us the beauty of being still. We return now to the listener, to you, the one drifting beneath that same cosmic quiet. The words are no longer narrative. They're an invitation to rest. Let your thoughts slow. Let your breath match the rhythm of the dreaming earth. You are safe here. You are part of this stillness. And even as the world rests, you continue to dream. The sound fades into a gentle hum, like distant wind across lunar plains. Soft reverb carries the final words through silence as you drift to sleep tonight. Remember, even if the moon stops moving, dreams never do. The hum dissolves into faint cosmic tones. A breath, a pause. And then stillness, the screen fades to black. A final whisper remains, no longer narration but feeling. The earth dreams. And so do you.